what would I envision my magnum opus to be? So the idea for a story that I had, it evolved a lot over time. But as it stands right now, what I would want to do is to create a sort of experiential film. I don't know if that's a word, but a film that is very visceral and sensual, that sort of gets inside the viewer's head and gets them to behave or believe something that they normally would not. And I feel safe doing so because I've now realized that if I share my ideas, the proof that this was originally mine is here on this stream, on this VOD. So if anyone wants to steal the idea, I could sue them with this as proof, so it's fine. You best believe the content of the stream is copyrighted by Niji Sanji. They're gonna come for your ass if I tell them to. So the whole idea that I had was I wanted to write a story about a girl. And I wanted to write a story about this girl who was a problem child. She came from a really rough, terrible background, didn't have many friends, had sort of been experiencing behavioral problems at school. She very much is gifted and intelligent and does well when she applies herself, but is, you know, not nurtured in the right way. You know, she is not having her gifts nurtured, and she's one of the people who is very, very much, she's slipping through the cracks. Her life is not going in a good direction. But she does have gifts. She does have, you know, things that she can offer to the world. She just needs a chance to apply it. The way that it all goes is that eventually she discovers that she has sort of a penchant for trickery, let's say. She eventually really reaches a point where she is so nihilistic and so angry at the world and the system for having left her behind that she sort of can't see other human beings as people in the way that she is as well. So it all begins when she sort of thinks, what can I do to sort of start messing around with people? It starts from a point of curiosity, and it sort of becomes this like addiction of how far can I go, right? One thing anchoring this girl to reality is a friend of hers, and they could be lesbians, they could just be a pair of really close friends. It's not really the point. The matter is that they are close and that they mean something very special to each other. If whatever anyone's read on it is completely fine. But there's one person who is like her anchor to reality. And one day, while she's on this spree of like, you know, losing touch with reality and fucking with people for fun, something happens to her friend, or something happens to her girlfriend, whoever it is. Someone fucks her over in a way. Maybe she, like her boundaries are crossed in a certain way. You know, I don't want to say too much because it's obviously triggering for some people, but that sort of thing. Someone really, really does something very nasty to this girl. And to our main character, it's not so much like she's very furious and this is her last connection to reality. But also, it's another excuse for her to exercise these sort of urges that she's been getting, and so she finds the motherfucker who did this, and she kills him. Doesn't mean to at first, she just wants to kind of rough him up, but she, like, doesn't stop when clearly she should, and this motherfucker is dead. She gets away with it. She gets away with it. The friend or the girlfriend figures it out pretty quickly, you know. She tells her friend that this guy did something terrible to her, and then within a few days, he's found dead. But from there, I haven't really figured out the jump for this part, but from there, she sort of starts having, I would classify as delusions of grandeur. She sort of becomes obsessed with her power to take life or to do whatever. And she sort of thinks, like, from a place half of, I can make the world better for people like me, because think about my power, I chose to take that man's life and it worked. Because I have the power to do that, surely I should try, you know, I should do something right. And so it becomes half a, I need to do something, you know, I'm fooling myself into doing this thinking it's from a moral point of view, and I just need an excuse to keep taking my anger out on the world. And so on like that it goes. She essentially very much in a sort of a Light Yagami type of way. Exactly. She decides, I'm going to go as far as I can to become as powerful as I possibly can until I'm stopped. The big spoiler is the fact that she is not stopped. She makes it in the end. So, and I think that's sort of the main problem with it, right? Is that the world that caused her so much suffering is also the one that enables someone like her to cause untold suffering even further. Actually, she sort of has like a little team of people who decide on a strategy for what they're going to do to get as much power as possible. And the strategy is, let's fool the world into thinking that it's all you. That you are maybe the Antichrist, or that you are some, you know, super-powered whatever, and let them fear you in that way. Right? She eventually becomes so powerful that she's essentially unstoppable, and it's only a matter of time before the entire world is hers. What I want to do is sort of create action and to create an experience that is so exciting and that's so fun to watch that you don't stop and think about that moral aspect for a little bit. You never really stop to think, oh yeah, this is, you know, you wouldn't stop and think about how wrong it was because you'd be having so much fun. So the ending would essentially be that she achieves everything she's ever wanted. The world is hers by the end of it, after however many years she's been doing it. But it's at that point that she makes a mistake. Finally, because throughout the entire experience, she has been staying very close with this GF/friend of hers. That's still been like her one connection to reality. She still cares for this person. But she doesn't know that she's become this sort of masked supervillain. She does find out. And it becomes an argument that quickly escalates, and the long and short of it is that her GF/friend winds up dead. And so, I think that after all of the lights, after all of the spectacle, the action, the violence, the music, everything that's made it fun, at that point, it all stops. At that point, the film is cold, and it's icy, and it's quiet, and it's reflective. But now that she's gone, there's really nothing human left about her. She sort of walks out of this apartment she's been living in and looks across the world at this sort of mega city that's built in her image. Everything she's ever wanted has been achieved, and all sound cuts out, and just looks at what she's created and has just this empty, lifeless expression. Sort of looks back at how much damage she's caused, now not knowing why, and then that's it. That's just the end, you know. A true villain movie should really strive to make the audience confused, in a way. You want a villain to win because they're the protagonist of their own story, but you can be aware that they're not someone that you would want to support in real life.